They also say that pain is the indigence of that which is according to nature, but that pleasure is the complete fulness of it. But these are corporeal passions. If, therefore, pleasure is the complete fulness of that which subsists according to nature, that in which this fulness takes place will also be delighted. Hence the body will be delighted, but it does not appear that this is the case. Pleasure, therefore, is not complete fulness. But complete fulness, indeed, taking place, some one may be delighted, and when cut he may be pained. This opinion, however, appears to have originated from the pleasures and pains pertaining to food. For when we are in want of nutriment, and have been previously pained in consequence of this want, we are delighted with being completely filled. This, however, does not happen to be the case in all pleasures. For mathematical pleasures are unattended with pain, and also those sensible pleasures which subsist through the smell, and hearing, and the sight. Many recollections also and hopes are unattended with pain. Of what, therefore, will these be the generations? For in these there have been no previous indigence of any thing, of which these may be the complete fulness. But to those who adduce disgraceful pleasures, in confirmation of this opinion, it may be said that these are not simply delectable. For it must not be admitted, that if these are delightful to those who are badly disposed, they are also simply delectable, but that they are so to these only; as neither are those things simply salubrious, or sweet, or bitter, which appear to be so to those who are diseased. Nor again are those things white, which appear to be so to those whose eyes are dimmed with rheum. It may likewise be said in reply, that pleasures are indeed eligible, yet not from these things, just as to be rich is eligible, yet not by treachery, and to be well is eligible, yet not by eating any kind of food. Or it may be said that pleasures are specifically different. For those pleasures which are produced by worthy, are different from those which are produced by base pursuits. And it is not possible for any one to be delighted with the pleasure of a just man who is not just, or with the pleasure of a musician who is not a lover of music. And in a similar manner in other things. A friend also, who is a different person from a flatterer, appears to evince that pleasure is not good, or that pleasures are specifically different. For it seems that the association of a friend is with a view to good, but of a flatterer with a view to pleasure. And the one is reprobated, but the other is praised, in consequence of their associations being directed to different ends. Besides, no one would choose to live, possessing a puerile understanding through the whole of life, and being delighted as much as possible with those things which are the objects of puerile delight. Nor would any one choose so to rejoice in doing something most base, as never to be grieved for having done it. We likewise earnestly apply ourselves to many things, though they should procure us no pleasure, such as to see, to recollect, to know, and to possess the virtues. But it makes no difference if pleasure follows these things from necessity. For we should choose these, though no pleasure should be produced from them. That pleasure, therefore, is not good itself, and that all pleasure is not eligible, appears to be evident. As likewise that some pleasures are eligible of themselves, but differ in species, or in the things from which they are produced. And thus much may suffice with respect to what is asserted by others concerning pleasure and pain. CHAPTER 4. What pleasure, however, is, or what kind of thing it is, will become more evident, by resuming the consideration of it from the beginning. For the sight, indeed, seems to be perfect at any time, since it is not indigent of any thing, which, taking place afterwards, will give perfection to its form. But pleasure seems to resemble a thing of this kind, for it is a certain whole. Nor can a pleasure be assumed at any time, the form of which would be perfected by the accession of a longer time. Hence, neither is it motion, for all motion is in time, and is referred to a certain end. Thus, for instance, the motion which exists in building a temple is perfect, when it effects that which it desires to accomplish. It is perfect, therefore, either in the whole of the time, or in this time. But in the parts of the time, all the motions are imperfect, and are specifically different from the whole motion, and from each other. For the composition of the stones is different from the erection of the pillar at right angles. And these motions are different from the fabrication of the temple. And the motion, indeed, employed in building the temple is perfect ; for it is in want of nothing to the proposed end. But the motion employed in laying the foundation and the roof is imperfect ; for each pertains to a part. The motions, therefore, are specifically different. And it is not possible to assume a motion perfect in its species in any time, except the whole time. The like also takes place in walking and other motions. For if lation is a motion from one place to another, the specific differences of this motion are, flying, walking, leaping, and the like. And not only so, but in walking itself there is a difference. For the motion from one place to another in walking is not the same in the stadium, and a part of the stadium, and in the different parts of it. Nor is the mutation of place the same in passing through this line and that, viz. In passing through a curve and a straight line. For not only a line is passed through, but a line existing in place. And this line is in a different place from that. We have, therefore, accurately discussed motion elsewhere, i.e. in the 5th book of the Physics. Hence it appears that motion is not perfect in every time, but that the multitude of motions are imperfect, and specifically different, since they are formalized by proceeding from one place to another. The form, however, of pleasure is perfect in any time. It is evident, therefore, that motion and pleasure are different from each other, and that pleasure is something whole and perfect. This would also seem to be evident from the impossibility of being moved except in time. But the possibility of being delighted without time, i.e. in an instant, for that which is effected in the now, or an instant, is a certain whole. From these things, however, it is manifest that it is not well said that pleasure is motion or generation. For motion and generation are not predicated of all things, but of those only which may be distributed into parts, and are not wholes. For there is not generation of sight, nor of a point, nor of the monad, nor is there either motion or generation of these. Neither, therefore, is there of pleasure, for it is a certain whole. Hence, from what has been said, it is evident that a certain pleasure is conjoined with every sense in energy, which energizes without being impeded. But the energy of the sense is perfect which is well disposed towards the most beautiful of the objects that fall under the sense. For perfect energy appears to be especially a thing of this kind. It is, however, of no consequence whether it is said that the sense itself energizes, or that in which it exists. But in every thing, the energy is the most excellent of that which is disposed in the best manner towards the most excellent of the things which are subject to it. But this energy will be most perfect and most delightful. For there is pleasure according to every sense, and in a similar manner according to every discursive energy of the soul, and every contemplation. But the most perfect energy is the most delectable, and that is the most perfect, which is the energy of that which is well disposed towards the best of the things subject to it. Pleasure, however, perfects energy. But pleasure does not perfect energy after the same manner as the object of sense perfects sense, when both are in good condition, just as neither are health and a physician similarly the cause of being made well. It is evident, however, that pleasure is produced according to each of the senses. For we say that things which are seen, and things which are heard, are delectable. And it is also evident that they are especially delectable, when the sense is most excellent, and energizes about the most excellent object. But where the sensible object and that which perceives it are things of this kind, there will always be pleasure, the agent and patient being present. Pleasure, however, perfects energy, not as an inherent habit, but as a certain supervening end, such as the flower of age in those who are in their acme. As long, however, as that which is sensible or intelligible is such as it ought to be, and also that which judges or contemplates, pleasure will be in energy. For when that which is passive and that which is active are similar, and subsisting after the same manner with reference to